Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Jen,
I'm Kimberly.
and this is that Vegan Morning Show. Hello, Kimberly. Happy Monday and happy March 2nd.
Yeah, happy Monday. Happy March 2nd to you too, Jen. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Waking up. I was up early. I always have energy at like 5:30, and then around 6:30 I'm ready to go back to sleep. At
But
that
not
point
on
it's too late.
Monday.
Not on Monday, but it's always nice being awake early hanging out with you. So for that I don't mind getting up early for.
Me neither.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was great. I got to see you on Saturday, so
I
that's
know. I
always
got to see you
good.
too.
We met up at what has become our new favorite place because it's like in between us. So Jen and I live about 2 hours away from each other, and it's nice to find a spot that's like almost like dead center so that we can
Mhm.
meet up and hang out and get some work done. And so it was just really nice to see you. And then yesterday we just kind of like hung around the house and cleaned up some stuff and did a little more decluttering. And so that was good, kind of kicking off that spring cleaning kind of feel, I guess.
Yeah. I wanted to do some spring cleaning. We have our bedroom closet needs like a whole overhaul, but didn't get to that yesterday. We did our usual general weekly cleaning, which is still important. But.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the weekend was nice. Got to see you. We also have some photos from that.
Yes,
Um, Look how cute we are.
I know.
And we also had amazing food. And I had to put the chocolate chip pancakes in the center because that was our appetizer. And it was a
Yes,
really good appetizer.
it was.
What was the sandwich that you got,
I
Kimberly?
got a buffalo chicken sandwich.
That's right. Those waffle fries looked really good.
They were really good.
The second time I've gotten this chicken Caesar wrap, which is always good every time.
Yeah. And so the place we were at is Simply Green in Ramsey, New Jersey.
Yes, highly
Simply Green
recommend.
Cafe. Yeah.
Yeah, Simply Green Cafe. Highly recommend going. That was an amazing highlight for my weekend. And then yesterday I went to Art Church, which I've talked about before. And my husband came with me for the first time.
Nice.
So that was nice. And yeah, that was pretty much the weekend. And now here we
Cool.
are starting a new month and a new week.
Yeah. And we are kicking off this new month and new week by talking about how to live longer and better while we live longer.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
a very important part too. All
Mhm.
right. And you found this article in the this issue of Veg News, and The Art of Living to 100 is the article. And so they list 11 different things, and it was inspired by the Blue Zone regions, right? So anyone who's not familiar with what the Blue Zones are, I know they list where they are. Okay. Okinawa, Japan, Ikaria, Greece, Nicoya, Costa Rica, and Loma Linda, California and Sardinia, Italy. There we go. That's 5. So those are areas where people live into their 90s or longer. And so there's been studies on that region. And so there's been a lot of so they extracted like what's going on there. What are people doing? What's their lifestyle like to be able to not have a lot of chronic disease and be able to live longer and happier. And so, yeah, Kimberly, did you want to start off with what came to your mind when you read the article?
Yeah. So I will just call out a little bit of language that I wish they would have changed.
Okay.
You know me. Point number 9 says choose your tribe wisely. And I just think they really could have used maybe the word people instead of tribe. Many of us are not indigenous peoples to this country, and so tribe doesn't really apply That word's kind of been co-opted by like coaches and that kind of stuff, but it really is like a word that many of us shouldn't be using to describe the people with whom we're connected and kind of that community we're within. So I would have liked number 9 to be something like choose your people wisely, and then talk about creating that community that way. But anyway, the first one that I circled is actually number 2. I mean, the first one's a given. It says eat plant-based. So like we're a vegan show talking about veganism all the time. So I figured I didn't feel like I needed to highlight that one.
Yeah, that one's an easy one for us.
Yeah. But moving naturally, and they talk about like, just forget about a gym membership and think about how you can move out in the world in a way that you can keep doing it into your 90s and when you hit 100, right? So you're not going to be able to, whatever. I was trying to think of like an exercise I could think of from the gym, like that big leg press, or like, anyway. And like think about movements that you can do that your body can keep doing. And so moving out in nature, connecting to the world in that way, like smelling the breeze and looking at the trees and like birds, and like while you're getting some exercise and moving your body. And then even I think like things like gardening, if you have a space, whether you have a big space with a huge garden or like a tiny little one on like a back porch or a balcony, there is really something about one being able to like squat down and tend to things on the ground, but also just digging your hands into soil and connecting to the earth that way is like so meaningful, and something that you can, if you're doing it now, these are practices you can keep doing as you get older, and it's helpful to be able to move your body in those ways. That's my first one.
I love that. And yeah, that was also one that I had highlighted that stuck out to me. The last sentence in that is their daily movement is built into life itself, not tacked on as a chore.
Mm-hmm.
And when I have been the most in shape was when I worked in the city, and I would sometimes, if I left early enough, would take the train and get off early, like a few stops before I needed to get off, and walk the rest of the way to work, or walking to the train station. Where I lived at one point in Brooklyn, it was like a 25-minute walk to the train station. So the weather was nice. I would incorporate getting a lot of walking in that way. And then I would go out on my lunch break and walk around. And then COVID happened, worked from home. And that really had an impact. And while living in Brooklyn, we still had sidewalks. So it was easier to like get out and walk around. But now where we live, there aren't any sidewalks unless you live in up an area where there are sidewalks. We don't live in that area. So there is a gym in my apartment complex. I have gone to it. They've changed the hours. And it feels like a chore for me to go to the gym. So like, that's the thing that I'm working on right now, is how can I find movement with my life now that doesn't feel like a chore? Like on the weekends, we do a lot of walking, but during a busy work week, that's what I'm working on now, is how to not make it feel like a chore. So that last sentence really jumped out at me. Gardening also, I have a balcony garden I've done, and yeah, there's something very grounding about handling soil. And it is a workout because you're lifting, you're bending, you're stretching, you're moving, and then I still have to clean out my garden from last season. So I know I'll be busy running back and forth to the dumpster with all of the stuff that I have to throw out. And I don't live where I can do composting because at the apartment complex, I don't have like a setup for that. So it's going to go all in the dumpster. But that again is like all really good movement. So I'm glad you brought up gardening, because that's good for a lot of things, not just for the movement part, just sitting out in nature. It can be meditative when you have that garden. And there's something, I feel like it also ties in with purpose, right? They
Mm.
mention how people who live in blue zones have, a purpose or multiple purpose, things that light them up and excite them. And it's so exciting when you plant a garden and you want, that those first little sprouts from the seeds.
Mhm.
And I'm always like, oh, something hatched. And my husband gets a play-by-play of every little thing that hatches as it comes up. And it's very exciting watching that little seed sprout and then turn into a bigger version of whatever it is that you grew.
Mhm.
So yeah, those are some of my thoughts on that.
Nice. What's another one that you highlighted here?
So I feel like what I was talking about before about the gardening, it was, the managing stress. Um, community was another one that highlighted, which you touched on before. Um, it's very important to find your people, to find your group of people who you connect with, you share values with. And it's so important, especially as vegans living in a non-vegan world. Um, it can feel very lonely and
Mhm.
isolating and stressful when you don't have those interactions with other vegans, whether it's in person or virtually. And that's something we're working on that we'll be announcing soon. So that was
Mhm.
one of the things we were working on over the weekend. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, community, was one of the other ones that I had highlighted because it's so important to have people that you resonate with. And it doesn't always have to be in one group too. I think sometimes we feel like all our community has to be in one bucket. We can have multiple communities that support multiple interests, whether it's knitting or crocheting or a book club or whatever, right? There's
Mhm.
different ways where you can find your people and connect with your different interests. What about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I circled community as well. Having people that you can count on and that are, they have your back and you have theirs, and that they understand you like for who you are is such
Mm-hmm.
a meaningful thing. And when, like you said, we're vegans and in a non-vegan world, we can often find ourselves surrounded by people who don't understand that piece of us. And it's
Mm-hmm.
such a significant part of who we are and what we do every day, that to be able to find a group that does get us makes a world of difference. And it can make interacting with those who don't truly understand us a lot easier, knowing that we have that community or those people behind us. So, yeah, I really appreciated that call out as well. And I think, too, when you study the blue zones, there's so much around community and respect for one another,
Mm-hmm.
especially people who've come before you. So like kind of like your elders, right? People within the community also are looking to support each other that way as you get older and you need help. Um, that it's kind of like the younger people are there to do things that maybe now the older people can't, and then the older people maybe pass on some wisdom. There's like, kind of it sounds like, oh, like what a dream, because it's so different from like the US culture where it's like once you're older, you're not really useful anymore. And,
Yeah.
there's all of that. So to think about finding a way to have that community include like different ages and people who, um, again, like you lean on each other. I really appreciated the call out of belonging to a community like that.
Yeah, that's a really that was, you brought up a very big important point too, is as people get older and you can learn so much from people from all ages.
Hmm.
I learn things from younger people.
Yeah.
My son, he's 20, so I certainly learn things from him. I also feel old because I realize how unhip I am sometimes. um, but yeah, and I think too, like for me, like I don't have a close family. Like my family is very complicated and scattered all over the place. So we don't have that closeness. So it's even more like it's like even more important for me in a different way to like also have that community of people that I feel like I can, connect with um for different things, whether it's holidays or just other things. And then just finding my own ways to make my own traditions too,
Mhm.
how to make things special at home. Um, so yes, if you don't have a close family, there's all kinds of community places. Vegan meetups are great.
Mhm.
If you can find a vegan potluck to connect with, that can help um, with that void if you're somebody who does not have a close knit family.
Yeah, I love it. So, what's another one?
Well, I feel like before I add, I don't want to forget.
Oh, yeah.
Before I add, there's one that I wanted to tie in there that was not on here,
Mm,
and that was setting boundaries. And I feel like that kind of ties in with kind of what we were talking about, right? Finding your
yeah.
people. Because I've talked about endlessly on my platform, The Confident Vegan, and also we've talked about it here, is the importance of speaking your truth and setting boundaries, because when you don't do that, it adds a lot of stress because you're
Mhm.
just absorbing things you really don't want to be absorbing. And I feel like that ties into the managing stress. One, it kind of ties in all the different ones, right? The managing stress, belonging to community, um, and then you know, it also something I've been working on more and thinking about more is also boundaries with the self,
Mm,
with which kind of ties in with the move naturally, right? Finding that time to exercise and make the time to exercise. So as I was reading all of these, I was just thinking about how I feel like boundary setting is something that is like foundational for all of these, because it's
mhm.
creating the space for all of the things that are important for you, as well as having conversations about what your needs are so you can feel supported. So I just wanted to toss that in there.
Yeah, I love that, and I fully agree. We definitely need to be setting boundaries, and it does really tie into all of these things here. So, I'd love to ask you, Jen, which one of these do you feel like you are doing your best at, or the one that you've kind of nailed?
Definitely the vegan, being vegan and eating mostly whole food plant based, which is without the oil and nothing processed. So I would say 80% whole food plant based, maybe even 90%.
Mhm,
And then when I want treats, then I'll get the veganized version of that, where
mhm,
it'll have oil, but it's still, we've talked about this before. Even, and there's been studies on this, that even a vegan burger, like a Beyond Burger, for example, is still better
mhm.
than a beef burger.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so the number one, eat plant based, that one I have nailed very effortlessly. But other than that, um, that's a really good. You know what? I'm going to say find my purpose,
Okay.
because this work that I get to do with you and the work that I'm doing on The Confident Vegan, that's a big part that's a big part of my purpose, and it gives me a lot of value and joy, especially in the days where operating a business can feel like drudgery sometimes.
Mhm.
But when you love what you're doing so much, that carries you through. So I
Mhm.
would say, other than eating plant-based that they list on here, I would say finding my purpose. What about you?
Nice. So certainly, yes, I'm nailing number 1. I'm not as I eat a lot of whole foods, but I wouldn't call myself whole food plant-based because I do use oil and, but I obviously am only eating vegan food, so nailed that one as well. The one that I feel like recently I've been getting pretty good at is the move naturally, because not only am I like moving my body in an exercise way, I'm being very mindful throughout the day about how I'm using my body. So I'm thinking about, in the past when I would just like bend over to scoop the litter boxes or bend over to pull laundry out of the washer and put it into the dryer, my back would always hurt after that or feel tight. It would feel very
Mhm.
tight. And so now I'm being mindful of like, how else can I use my body? How can I stand or crouch down or, move around in a different way that allows me to do the things I need to do and then not, make my back feel tight. And so I'm like
Mhm.
really tuning in to the movements I use and like when I can like twist or rotate to also like maybe get a stretch while I'm reaching for something. Like I kind of am trying to embody movement in like all areas of my life now. So I feel like I'm getting pretty good at that one. So my other question for you is which one is like the most difficult or the one that you want to incorporate into your life?
It's so funny because you read my mind because I was going to ask you that same question in another way, but you read my mind. So first of all, that's amazing with the movement. I know that you've been sharing your journey with me on that, and that's really great. I'm glad you found ways to make that work for you, and it's created this like whole new level of mindfulness and awareness and just that connectiveness to our body. 'Cause sometimes I feel like we're so disconnected from our body and our needs.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so what you just shared, that's my big goal is to move naturally. Like I got the eating part down. Um, Managing stress is always a work in progress, but I
Mhm.
feel like I have that more down than the move naturally. So that is something I definitely want to work out. Hearing what's been working for you has been very inspirational for me. I managed to get like one workout in a week. I'll summon up enough, and I'll do something, which once a week is better than no time a week. But
Yeah.
I think what will definitely help me, I love walking and I can walk around our apartment complex. And I was doing that for a period of time when the weather was nice. Or, so I think as the weather warms up more, I'll be doing more walking outside because that feels good. And, but yeah, definitely moving naturally is my next big goal because I feel like that's what my body really needs.
Nice.
What
I
about
love
you?
it. For me, it's the managing stress. Um, I have been really terrible at that.
Mm.
I have practices I've used in the past, like meditation and yoga, and I just have not been leaning on them at all. And so I've just let kind of the stress build and then, have to deal with that. And so that is one that I've really been struggling with the last couple of years, honestly, and managing my stress. And like, even, I have to wear a night guard because I grind my teeth so much.
Mm.
And my dentist is like, you have to manage your stress because you shouldn't wear this all the time. Like, this is just supposed to be like if you have like a moment or a period of your life where things are really tough and you're grinding because you're so stressed out. Um, you shouldn't have to wear it every night though, all year round. And so every time I see him, he is like, how's that stress management going? And I have to tell him it is not. So I mean, the exercising daily is definitely helping. It gives me an outlet.
Mhm.
Yesterday I was like suddenly in a bad mood and I couldn't really pinpoint why. So then I just was like, all right, I'm just going to go exercise. And I did. And while I didn't necessarily feel like better, like, oh, good, my bad mood is gone as soon as I was done, within like a short period of time, I did feel kind of back to my normal level of things, and the rest of the afternoon and evening was much less stressful, after that. So, there is a component, like, to that I'm actually doing that's
Hmm.
helping me with the stress, but but really like in the moment, being able to like breathe through something, or like I've really abandoned those practices. I need to pick them back up.
That Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, as you were talking about that, like I realized, like, even though I've gotten better at managing stress, my nervous system is still programmed, always waiting for the other shoe to drop from just various
Mm,
life experiences. So even though, like, I'm always naturally like just clenching my jaw, or like my gut is always like as you were talking, I become like, we're talking about being more in tune with your body. As you
mhm.
were talking about that, I'm like, why is my like stomach like all clenched up, like I'm bracing myself for something?
Oh.
It and then I had to like release, and that's something that talk about being mindful with your body, right? Being connected with your body.
Mhm.
I'm so used to it being there, but as soon as you started talking about it, I was like, oh wait, I'm doing my thing. Or like bracing myself for something. and so yeah, I definitely would like to do yoga more. I always There's a place in my town that has great yoga, but it's expensive to go like all the time.
Mhm.
When I have been stressed and I have gone, I always feel a lot better. Or when I've done Pilates, I have this Pilates video that I've popped in on DVD, that sometimes when I do that, like I feel a lot better and grounded.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, as you were talking about that, as I've gotten better with managing stress, I realize I, sh- I shouldn't, my baseline shouldn't be bracing.
Right.
So maybe I haven't managed stress as well as I thought.
Well, we can always improve in lots of different areas of our life, so
Yeah, that's true. Definitely. But yeah, I feel like this was a really good article. Um, it helped me just kind of check in with myself
Mhm.
on you know, things that are going well for me, that fit into these different categories, and then the things that, yeah, I need to kind of work on still. But we're always a work in progress.
Mhm.
Even when you're in your 90s, there's
Right.
always things to work on. And yeah, so I think this was really great. It really helped me kind of check in with myself and see what I needed to do a little more
Yeah.
of. What about
Same.
you?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Another one, just quickly, number 6 is share meals and conversation, and that's something that I've been trying to do more of by inviting people over to our home, making food or going out together, um, has been something really important. I realized, like, how much I enjoy those connections and that type of interaction, and, for a long time, especially, like, once COVID happened, obviously we weren't having people over anyway, but then we kind of really just created a space that wasn't conducive to having people over, cooking food for others, and it made our world very small. And so,
Mhm.
now that we're making a conscious effort to do that, to bring people into our home, or to go out with them and have and share food together, it's incredible, like, the conversations, just the way that you can feel closer to people by spending that time, together, and it's just really joyful and something that I'm glad that I'm working on, because it is really meaningful to me.
Yeah, I can agree with that too. That's something that we've been working on doing more of as well. We've got to share great meals with you and JP, and you're a good
Yeah.
cook.
I still think about that Himalayan restaurant we went to in
Uh,
Beacon. I
oh, yeah,
loved
that was
that
really
dish
good.
so
That
much.
was
Yeah,
very flavorful.
it
The
was.
Italian restaurant by you.
Yes.
I'm blanking on the name right now, but so good.
Mamas.
Yes. Why did I not even think? It's such an easy one to remember. I visualize their menu.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah, and sometimes we've gone to some meetups, For, we've moved, so we don't know a lot of people in our area. So we've gone to some like Hudson Valley meetups where like doing activities. Like the last time we went, we did like a pottery painting thing, and then we went to a diner. I was able to find something vegan to eat at. But yeah, it's nice to just meet different people and have conversations and share in activities. And it really does help expand our well-being for sure when we do these types of things. So I'm glad you brought that up, because yeah, it's very important. And I like to, the Capital Region Vegan Network in Albany, they do like potlucks and stuff. I've only been to one. It's an hour and a half for me. If they were closer, I would be in like a lot more. But I wish there was more vegan communities like that, because they have a lot of great stuff happening there every month. So I wish there was more of that here. So I don't know, maybe one day I'll have to create it.
Yeah. Good plan.
Wow, it is at time already.
It is.
Flies by so fast.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would like to plug for the week?
I would love to. So today's episode of Did You Bring the Hummus features Dina Myler. She is on the leadership team of Women Funders for Animal Rights, and we talk a lot about that group. It is an incredible way to be engaged in philanthropy without needing to have millions of dollars to donate. And it's an incredible group of women and non-binary folks who come together, and we fund animal rights organizations that need some support. They're just getting started, or finding their way through a new project. And I really want to call it out, because on March 10th, so next week, we have an open meeting, which means that anyone can come, guests can attend. We're talking about generosity. And it'll give you an idea of what the organization does and how we assess who gets funded, because we're coming into that time where we'll start reviewing applications to decide who we'll give the money to this year. So it's really exciting. And so check out the episode of Did You Bring the Hummus, and then visit Women Funders and Animal Rights. And if you don't meet the criteria to be a member, you can donate. You could just be a donor, and that helps us fund more organizations. So please do check that out.
Good stuff. And yeah, I'm going to try to make the open meeting. I did go to one a few months back, and it was really great. And we've had Dina on that Vegan Morning Show. I think, was it like October, November? It was towards the end of last year. I remember we had her on, and I'm going to be interviewing her soon. So very important work that they're doing. And I'm excited to check that out.
Awesome. Yeah. I hope to see you there.
Yeah. Thanks. I hope to see myself there too. Yeah, let's see. This week I'm going to be posting another cookbook review. I have to finish editing it. I last minute with everything in my life. That seems to motivate me. So I'll probably finish it right before I have to get it up. So we'll be out on Wednesday.
Sounds good. I look forward to it. Which cookbook?
The How Not to Die cookbook.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, the companion cookbook to the How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. And I haven't seen, you know what? Maybe I'm going to watch the doc, because he recently came out with a documentary for that. Okay. And I think you can watch it free on Unchained TV.
Oh, nice.
And if no one knows what Unchained TV, it's like a vegan Netflix that's free.
Yeah, it is great.
Go watch it. And all the other documentaries on there.
Yeah, so many good things there.
Definitely. All right, Kimberly, this was great. I hope you all have a good week. I hope you have a good week.
You too.
And thanks. And we'll see you all soon.
All right. Bye. Thanks. Bye.